Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby. I am joined by Erik D-Cats Kuna.
Hey,
how you doing,
Scott,
Mr. Kuna? What's up?
Good. Very
Been
good.
a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah, right?
Like lunch at Chili's today. Anyway, we're so glad to have you guys here. We have a really interesting topic. We are going to be talking about Lightroom CC. Now, when I wrote about this today on Facebook, and I said, hey, we're going to be talking about Lightroom CC and all the confusion, and people were like, well, what's the confusion? It used to be called Lightroom CC. Now it's called Classic. We're not here to talk about Classic.
Not that version.
We're talking about the other version because a lot of people are confused. And I'm on this seminar tour, this Lightroom seminar tour. I was just in Dallas on Monday, the Dallas area on Monday. And so many people asked about it, like I had to stop the seminar and like talk about it. And so I realized that there is just so much confusion. So today we want to kind of break the log jam, but we're not going to talk about Lightroom Classic. Lightroom Classic is the Lightroom we all know and love and been using for 10 years.
We might a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we might a little bit.
But mostly the CC.
The focus is really which Lightroom should you be on?
Yeah,
like which Lightroom is right for you? So there we go.
Like straight talk, truth.
Yeah, we're just going to cut
the
through.
truth.
But when we're
Nothing
done
but the
today,
truth.
when we're done, you're going to understand it. You'll totally get it. Like whatever amount of like, you know, whatever, you'll totally know, okay,
then,
this one is for me or this one's for me, but you will totally know.
And Rose Kiernan saying, I'm really looking forward to this as it's all about Lightroom.
There you go. Hi,
That's
Rose.
what it is, all about Lightroom.
So Rose is up early. She's in New Zealand.
And
Good
Ed
morning.
said, wonderful day here in Aurora, Colorado.
Oh, Aurora. That's if it was Aurora, Illinois, that'd be home of Wayne's World.
Yeah.
All right.
Deb says, hey, Scott and Erik. And look at, we got Kevin over there, says, greetings from the home of Spray Cheese, Wisconsin.
Spray Cheese, Wisconsin is a beautiful place. All right. Ooh, Cheeky Nando. Cheeky says, hey, he says, hello from Tomato Rice, Lisbon, Portugal. So on our last night in Portugal, Cheeky Nando took us to this wonderful place called Time Out Lisbon, and there was this place that just served this amazing rice. And so the other night, he, of course, sent me a picture of it as he's there again.
Course,
I'm like,
right.
Dude. Anyway, we're glad to have you all here. Can we just, we're going to jump right into the topic.
Jump right into it.
Jen's here
and we
over
are
there
have
moderating.
Rob joining us too.
Yeah,
Rob Sylvan.
in just a few minutes. In fact, in just a minute.
So excited.
In just a minute, we're going to have Rob Sylvan. So Rob Sylvan is a Lightroom guru. He's a columnist at LightroomKillerTips.com. And when we do these webcasts, a lot of times he's watching, and he has so many helpful things. I'm like, Rob, can you just please be on the show?
You know, honestly, if Rob doesn't know about Lightroom, Adobe doesn't know about Lightroom.
Yeah. If Rob doesn't know about Lightroom, Adobe doesn't know. That's a good way. And he writes a wonderful column every Wednesday, I believe it is. Yes, every Wednesday on LightroomKillerTips.com. And his stuff is great.
Yeah.
He handles topics that are like, I'm just like, I don't want to touch that. And Rob like crushes it. Ooh, Mimo.
Mimo's here.
Mimo says hi from Venice. All right, Mimo.
Yeah.
Hey, Mimo, I'm calling you after the show. Get by your phone. All right. Anyway, so glad that you guys are joining us. So today, our topic is straight talk on Lightroom CC. I even made a special fancy splash screen just for that. But I may not be connected to Control Room 2. Oh, there it is. Yes, look at that. All right. So what we really want, so this is what the question was that everybody was asking me at my seminar. Adobe came out with this new cloud thing. Do I want it? Should I be on it? You know, how much does it cost? And everybody was like just so confused. And it wasn't like 3 people were confused. Like everybody was like, you know, like hundreds of photographers, like we're not really sure. So that's what we wanted to focus on today. So what we're going to talk about is, who is this new version of Lightroom for?
Right, exactly. Like, well, you know, and also, who is it not for?
Yeah, and who's it not for? So
who's it for? Who's it not for?
Right, and so that's what we're really hoping to do.
Yep, just demystifying the, you know, they've got everybody saying this or everybody saying that.
Right.
It's like, here's the straight talk.
Now, and I know a lot of people are upset, and they're concerned and they're worried because there's this new product. Don't be concerned because there's a new product. When you see what we're going to show you, you might go, oh, I see who that's for. That's not me. Or I'm the person they made this product for. So it's okay that, you know, you shouldn't, none of us should feel threatened by this.
Don't feel angst about it.
Don't feel angst about it. You're going to, in just a few minutes, it's going to all make sense. Here we go.
Through it.
So that's the first question we're going to ask is literally, who is it for? Who is Lightroom CC, which is the cloud-based version? Now, I do want to say this when we say cloud-based. It's cloud storage. You download the app. It runs on your laptop or your desktop just like always. And of course, there's a phone and a tablet version. But it does not run in the cloud, but it stores your images in the cloud. So who this is really for is for people who do not want to worry about storage. They literally do not want to worry about where your stuff is stored. Like, in other words, you know how right now in Lightroom Classic we have an import window and there's 20 questions to ask. Where's it coming from? Where's it going? Where do you want to store it? Do you want it in a collection? It's none of that. All those decisions are made for you. You just go import and sit back, and it takes care of all of that for you. So it is, you're a person, and that's what we're going to list here is who it's for. You don't want to mess with any of the storage or any of the worries that come with, like, what drive are they on, or on this drive are they on this, and I don't want to worry about my catalog. I don't want to worry about my catalog, right? So that's number one. It's also for people who do not want to worry. Number two is about backup. They do not want to worry about, are my images backed up? Let me tell you, I talk to so many professional photographers who believe, well, everybody's backed up, right? All your stuff's backed up. Your stuff's backed up, right? I would say of the pros that I know, just of the pros, maybe 50% of them are actually reasonably backed up. But as the public in general, most people are not simply not backed up. It's like, I talk to people who go, do you know where all your photos are? I mean, if your computer got stolen, they go, oh, if my computer got stolen, I would lose everything. What about your backup? I know I should have one. I know I should have one is the leading cause of misery in America. It's like, you gotta have a backup. With this, you don't have to worry about it. It is automatically backed up. So number one, you don't want to have to worry about where your photos are stored. Number two, you don't have to worry about backup at all.
Like the import box is like nothing to you. You just plug it in, hit the button,
simple,
and you go.
It's like anybody could do it. It's super simple. So that's number two. Number three is you want all of your images accessible on all your devices, not just ones that you've synced, but like all of your images. Like you want to be able to open up Lightroom on your mobile device or on your tablet or on your computer, and wherever you are, all of your images are accessible, right? And so if you have 150,000 images, all of your images are accessible. Now, don't think that they're going to throw 150,000 images on it's cloud-based.
Yeah, so it's going to be like on demand. If I want to edit that, I'm going to pull it down.
But you'll see your images there, and you can work with them and all. Okay, so it's a version of Lightroom that is based on that. So that's number three. Now, here's another thing. So who would be the perfect person? Person that wants an easy import, doesn't want to worry about backup, doesn't want to worry about any of that stuff.
And having your photos everywhere.
Having your photos everywhere, and you don't shoot a lot. You're not somebody who's like a professional photographer where you're out shooting every single week. You're doing 3 shoots a week. I talk to people who do 3 shoots a week. Jen's shooting all the time. So it's not really for someone who shoots a lot, unless, there's a caveat, unless you shoot in JPEG. If you're a JPEG shooter, it actually works out okay. The reason why is we're going to get to the costs of this in a minute, and there'll be a cost decision that you have to make. And if you shoot a lot, if you're like a full-time working pro, or even someone who just shoots a lot or travels a lot, and I'll give you an example in just a minute, then it becomes cost prohibitive to you. But if you shoot in JPEG, you can store a lot of photos.
Well, yeah. But, we're actually getting, that's the thing is with the raw images, we're getting these cameras. I guess if you're shooting a lot, you're usually on a better DSLR, so you're going to have a higher resolution. So right there, you're going to be just shooting more and more data.
Hey, before we go much further, can I bring Rob into the conversation?
Well, let's take a break.
Yeah,
come back,
we're going to take a break. When we come back.
Did you have another one?
Yeah, I got a few more. But I'm going to stop it right there. Yeah. And so we're going to bring Rob in when we come back. And so stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to take a break. Rob's here, because I don't want to go too much further in this without Rob, because we love Rob. Stick around. We'll be right back here on the grid live. Erik, Rob, and me.
My name's Tim Wallace. I'm a commercial photographer, and I shoot transport all over the world. So what we're going to do is I'm going to shoot the runway, we're going to shoot and light the plane, and then we're going to put those two elements together and make a composite. I'm Tim Wallace. Come check out my class on KelbyOne.com.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. My name is Serge Romilly. I'm a French photographer living in Los Angeles, California. And in this class, I'm going to teach you Lightroom presets. Lightroom presets are amazing because they can do 80 to 90% of your entire retouching. When you have a lot of photos to retouch, it's so cool. In this class, I'm going to show you how to do presets on your own for sunrise, sunsets, black and white, Hollywood looks, day to night looks, retouching portraits, only at KelbyOne.com. Check it out.
Hey gang, this is Dave Black telling you, you've got to come check out this latest video class that I've made here at KelbyOne. We are covering sports, all the gear that I use to cover all the different events that I do. We're talking 20 sports like football, baseball, basketball. We're talking volleyball and Olympic sports like swimming and gymnastics, track and field. They're all going to be in this video. We got adventure sports, we got motorsports we're covering, all these kinds of things, and how I use the gear from remote cameras and magic arms and radio poppers to which choice of lenses that I'm going to use to cover all these different sports, and a few little kind of wild items that I might actually show off while I'm there. So come to KelbyOne, check out my latest class. It is amazing, and if you are into sports, you are going to love it and learn a lot here at KelbyOne.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Hey everybody, we are back. Scott Kelby here with Erik Kuna, and joining us via Skype, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Rob Sylvan. Rob, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, Rob, good to have you here, buddy.
Yeah.
It's
Rob,
good to be here.
Rob, you are a true friend of the crown. Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly. Anyway, good to have you here, Rob. Thanks for taking the time. So I didn't really want to go any further than we've gone without having you being able to talk about this stuff too, because like you are one of the leading Lightroom experts. You are a columnist on LightroomKillerTips.com. Were you not at Photo Plus East doing a Q&A in Adobe's booth, in Adobe's theater? So I think you certainly, if anybody out there knows more about Lightroom, I don't know who it is, but we're glad to have you with us.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here. I'm sure there are, but yeah, the only reason I know so much is because of all the questions I've answered from KelbyOne members over the last 10 years. So I owe it to everybody else for what I know.
Yeah, but you had to be able to answer those questions, Rob. I think you're being very modest, but thank you for being here. So, Rob, as you've seen, as you've been watching, we're kind of going through the who is this for? And it's funny because Loopy Bridget says, I'm liking the sound of Lightroom CC so far. She goes, it sounds so much better than Classic. So we're going to keep going through.
I mean, you got to go through all of it, and then
But Rob, I want you to jump in any time that we're going through this. And I'm going to recap what we've talked about since we just came back from the break. So number one, not worrying about storage. Somebody asked the question here, Rob, and they said, well, how does the cloud thing work, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of answer that question, who is it? Can we get I want to give their name here because they just asked. If you want to scroll up a little there, Jen, somebody asked that exact question. Oh, so Chris Dye says, hello, how does the cloud work with the new Lightroom?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is I've been watching since the beginning, and I think it's important to say that this is not static. Like, this isn't like carved from stone and handed down. This is a really fluid environment that we're in now, because all of this Lightroom stuff is all subscription based now. So that means that we can possibly expect new stuff to come at any time. And that's a different way of thinking than what we've been used to.
Right, right.
So as far as the way the cloud stuff goes, with Lightroom CC, everything you bring into a Lightroom CC client, shall we say, because we have Lightroom CC for iOS and Android, which is what used to be called Lightroom Mobile. Then we have the web browser interface through lightroom.adobe.com. And then
don't
there's
even open that can of worms yet, Rob. Just how does the cloud work?
So, and then there's the new Lightroom CC app for Windows and Mac. So anytime you import a photo through one of those channels, it goes up to the cloud eventually. It may not go,
originals.
The full res copy of the original goes up into the cloud. Now, if you're somewhere, say you're in Antarctica and you don't have internet, I'm assuming they don't have it down there because I've not been, but you can keep using it while you're floating around, and then once you come back, then they go up to the cloud. So it's not something you have to be connected to all the time, 24/7.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Rob. All right, so you don't have to worry about the storage part because all of your images, your high resolution images, are being taken from the cloud. And Rob made a great point there when he said, it doesn't matter where they come from. If you take them with your phone and they're in RAW, if you take them on your pad, please don't take photos with your iPad, but if you do, wherever your import, they all go up to the cloud, right? Okay, so that's number one. You don't want to worry about storage. You don't want to worry about backup. So it's got the backup already. It's like totally the backup's there. Number three, your images are accessible on all your devices, of course, and you don't shoot a lot because if you're a DSLR shooter shooting in RAW,
it's a lot of data.
It's a tremendous amount of data, and you're going to pay for that, and we'll get to that. And then, of course, if you shoot in JPEG, the data is not as expensive because you're not going to use nearly as much. The next thing is, and this is important, while you do not need to be connected to the internet all the time, you are going to need a pretty decent internet connection. So you don't want to be doing dial-up or your satellite. And here's why. You need to kind of have a plan without a data cap or a limit. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of people that actually do have this data cap where you're kind of like, I can only bring up 50 gig a month or whatever it is. If you're one of those people, I don't think this is for you because you're going to blast through your data cap.
Yeah, real quick.
You're going to do, I mean, think about this.
Upload, download, all that data. You know?
A 32 gig card is now considered to be pretty small.
Yeah.
Like, remember when a 32 gig card was what we all dreamed of?
Yeah.
And now people are like, 32 gig card?
That's
I burned through that. I burned through that at breakfast, right? So if you have like a 50, gig data cap, this isn't really for you.
You'll be gone quick.
So it isn't important that you have kind of an unlimited plan at home. You don't have like a data cap or limit, all right? Also, you have to be emotionally okay with having all of your images in the cloud. Adobe will have all of your images, right? So you have to be totally cool with somebody else, a third party, having all your images.
Yeah, because that backup is reliant on Adobe having all your images.
Right. So Adobe has all your images in your backup. Now, there's a couple other things that you have to be okay with, right? You have to be okay with not using plugins. It doesn't support Topaz or Nik or MacFun or ON1 or any of that stuff. So you basically have to now. Like Eric, you don't use plugins in your Lightroom, do you?
Not as much. I use.
And you know what? I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I know.
No, just kidding.
Well, you know what you can do is somewhat of a workaround, and I guess this phrase will probably come up a lot, but it is possible to go from the new Lightroom CC to Photoshop, assuming you have the plan that has Photoshop.
Right, and then use the plug-in there.
Right.
Well, you know what though? You can do that from Apple Photos. You can do that. You can do that from any. You can always launch another program to do something, Rob. That doesn't help. All right.
Well, that's where you can kind of get into confusion.
Okay, but I'm just talking about. Let's just talk about Lightroom CC. Lightroom CC does not support any plugins. So if you're like a Nik user or Topaz, MacFun, ON1, whatever you're using, you won't be using it anymore.
It might not be the right product. Right?
All right. And the other thing is, you don't need all the features that are in Lightroom Classic. So I think that this is
a big one.
This is kind of important. Catherine Cat Evans says none of this will work for me. I'm sticking with Classic.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at. So when you says you don't need all the features of Lightroom Classic, what is missing? Well, curves, color labels, keywords, sets, smart collections, quick collections, puppet collections, the tethering, auto import merge, HDR, watermarking. It's this page.
Well, wait. There's more.
And this page.
There's more.
And this page. And this page.
There you go.
That's all I could find. There's probably more. But it is pages of stuff that for a lot, there's like no history panel. There's no syncing metadata. You know what else you can't do? There's some surprising things, I think. One of them is you can't reorder your icons. Like you can't just drag your icons in the order that you want, even when they're in an album. Oh yeah, and they're not called collections anymore in there. They're called albums. And collection sets are called folders because that wouldn't confuse anybody. Anyway, but so you don't need all the features of Lightroom, and there's quite a few missing. Now, Adobe has said publicly, we're going to be adding more features.
Well, it's like Rob was saying. I mean, this is kind of an ever-evolving thing. So I think a lot of these features will eventually come over there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen Thursday.
No,
but
it's not going to happen Thursday.
Yeah,
but it's going to take a while.
Rob's like, no. But I think that over the next year or so, you will see a lot of the features. I think there's some features that will never make it over. I don't think that there are some features that just aren't going to work with this kind of a cloud-based thing. But I certainly think that, I'm interested to see how they're ever going to do tethering, what the plugin architecture is going to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
See, Kevin Scott saying, "My goodness, this is so very confusing," and that's where I think you really have to go through all the points.
Yeah,
then we can clear it up.
Yeah, we're going to go through the points. We're not there yet. So, but it's important for you to know what it will do and what it won't do. And Johan just said you can't use tethering in Lightroom CC. No. Really? No. And you know why though, Johan? And this is what is important. Let's go back to this. Who is Lightroom CC for? Tethering is for a pro. Now, I don't mean that you make your living as a photographer, but you're at that level.
You're at a level.
Johan, I've seen your work. You're a tethering guy. So when you're at a certain level in your photography and your seriousness, right, you want to tether. I mean, tethering is like when you tether for the first time, right, it's like, it's like you can't imagine life without tethering, right? So there are people that are at a certain point in their career where the history panel really matters, and watermarking matters, and
that's the thing is if there's those things that matter that aren't in Lightroom CC, it's not for you.
That means it's not for you.
Right.
If auto sync, like doing multiple photos at one time, if that matters to you,
it's not for you.
It's not for you. So anyway, I wanted to go through those with you, but but it also does have some advantages. One is kind of a neat thing. If you hate keywording, it has a very, very slick search function that basically keeps you from having to do a whole lot of keywording, because it uses this technology called Sensei. And what it does is it searches by what's in the photo.
Yeah, it's an artificial intelligence search.
Thank you.
Where it does, it looks at the photo and is able to analyze colors, what subjects are.
Yeah, it says, oh, that's a guitar, that's a person, that's
it's pretty
this,
crazy.
Right. So Rob, how's your experience been with Sensei?
Well, when it finds the stuff that you expect, it's great. Sometimes there's a stray odd thing in there.
Yeah, but Rob, let me ask you about that. So, because I was talking to Terry about this, Terry White from Adobe, because he was doing a presentation at Photo Plus, and I asked him about Sensei, because I said the same thing you're just saying. And you know what he said? Yeah, he says, if I ask for a picture of a fish and it brings me 20 fish and 3 pictures of a tree, I don't care, as long as it brought me the fish.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point. And it's only constantly improving. So what I'd like is a way in it now, if there's a way to kind of flag those bad results to kind of help
help it learn.
To help it learn, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
no, but if you're just like looking for something quick like that, it's great.
Right, but I think it's now Apple has that in their Apple Photos app too, right? I'm surprised how well it works, but it'll do the same thing. It'll either miss some, or it'll bring you some errant result. You'll ask for a guitar, and it'll bring you up a picture of Rob Sylvan. Which is, I'm always happy with that. I go, yes, more of that, more pictures of Rob. All right. So, and have you tried the Sensei?
No, I have not.
You should try it. It actually works pretty well.
Well, I tried on I was trying to use it on one of my licenses, but I can't use it yet.
Oh, you know what I would say though? Okay, Rob, I need you to be honest about this.
Okay.
Is Sensei search better than Lightroom Classics face tagging? Yes, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
this
face tagging in
Lightroom is kind of a gag.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bob
Moorcraft says the search feature is cool, and it actually is.
It is.
And we're getting lots of comments here. So Rob, we're going to just kind of pause going through this because we're going to get to pricing next. But
there's some questions that are coming in, but I think the thing is a lot of them that are coming in. I'm wondering if you're going to answer. But we could. I mean, I guess we could jump into them.
Yeah. Let's just start at the top here.
So let's
like with Becky.
So Becky is asking, what's the purpose of all that doesn't work?
So here's the thing, Becky. They created this new version for kind of almost a new audience. Like there are a lot of people, Becky, that would tell you, I don't ever use the books module. I don't ever print. I don't use the maps. I don't need any of that stuff. Because by the way, there is no print module. There is no maps module. There is no slideshow module. There's none of that stuff. Whoops, I lost my
Yeah, it's kind of like
earpiece.
if you were starting out and you hadn't been using like a Lightroom Classic. If you hadn't been using Lightroom Classic and you were starting out, that's like you've been bringing it up, Apple Photos. It's kind of like that editor that does its job.
I think I think Scott, you hit it right on the head. That this new Lightroom CC ecosystem, as it's often called, is really for a different audience than us, people who've been using Lightroom for the last 10 years, and they're trying to create this this whole ecosystem to bring in this new audience, and then in parallel, we'll have Classic, and then there's this whole thing that's building up, and maybe at some point in the future they'll get to a parallel place that will be easier to jump across, but for right now it's really
for right now, like you're asking, like, and I'm seeing a lot of people
and that's
saying,
where, like, there's a comment from Christina up there that's saying, I hope in the cloud-based version would be my answer, but no, so much I'm wanting to work, so much for wanting to work on my desktop and laptop. The cloud version seems just like something for hobbyists, because it's talking about like the audience.
So I would say that. So you know what I would say is, and this is maybe a good way to say it, see if you think this is kind of accurate. If you were going to use Apple Photos or you were going to use Google Photos, this is probably a better, I mean, I think it's, well, we'll get to this in a minute, like comparing it to Apple Photos and stuff, but that's the audience you are. Like, should I use Apple Photos? I want something a little more powerful, but I don't need all the features of Lightroom Classic. I think that's kind of where you are.
Well, Matthias, or was it Matthias or whatever, is asking why is there not only one app for the cloud function? Why is there not just one app?
Okay, so Matthias and Rob, I need your input on this.
Yeah.
Right. So they did make a brand new app, but this is not my dream. And I don't know if it was yours, Rob, but here's what I wish Adobe had done. And this is just me wishing, all right? Right now, Adobe Classic, the one we all use, that we all know on the desktop, it syncs smart previews to the cloud, correct?
Yes.
What I would have loved Adobe to do was just give me one more checkbox that says sync my high-res originals.
Yes.
I would pay for it. I would pay $100 a year for it to turn on that checkbox and know that my catalog's backed up in the cloud, and that my photos, my high-res originals, are backed up in the cloud.
Now, in all fairness, we talked about this. You said you go to 120.
Okay,
you go
I would go to
$120. We talked about it.
I would pay $240 a year, $120 for the photographer's plan, and I would go to the other one. Hey, let me ask you something.
Because I'm with you. 120, I'd pay twice.
Why is Rob so big on screen and we're so small? I think Meredith is fake. A little back. Yeah. Right there. Right there. No, God, I'm just messing with you. Come back. Are you wearing a Star Wars shirt?
Yeah, he is.
You're a true friend of the crown.
I'm getting ready. So here's what I've been told, and I'm sure you probably heard this too, is that Lightroom Classic, our program of 10 years, was not built with the cloud in mind. And in order to be able to have that check,
but Rob, it's already doing it.
But the checkbox is already working.
That's not fair. It's already doing it, Rob. It's taking smart.
That's what's hard.
Look,
it's hard to swallow.
You can't tell me that's
the
not.
The checkbox is already working.
You cannot tell me that's true, because the smart previews are going to the cloud.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, yes, my column for the next Lightroom magazine is on this, and at the end I wish for the same exact thing.
That's right. You're right for Lightroom magazine too.
Yeah.
Rob, you are the birth father of Lightroom education. All right.
So but I like that option too, but
would you pay for that option? I would.
Yeah.
Well, I'd pay a certain amount. I mean, at some point I'm out. But anyway, but see, that would be my dream, Rob. It's just because as like, you know, a pro level user, I want to. I like my ecosystem. I like Lightroom. I like it just like it is. I have little things that I wish would get better, but they fixed the biggest thing. They fixed the #1 biggest thing, which was speed. They fixed that in Lightroom Classic big time. And by the way, some guy wrote me on Twitter today and said, "Are you going to discuss how slow Lightroom Classic is?" I'm like, dude, there's another. If Lightroom Classic is running slow for you, I'm running Lightroom Classic. This Mac that you see right here in front of me is a 2012 MacBook, and it screams on here.
Yeah, I have a 2012 MacBook Air, and it
screams on his MacBook Air. It's lightning fast. So but you know what I found, Rob, is I talked to a number of people who they're running their catalog off an external drive.
Yeah,
and so what that means is it's hitting your drive all day long. That's got to slow down. You want your catalog,
well,
even though
sometimes those drives are really slow too.
Yeah, those drives are slow. You want your catalog on your laptop or your desktop, and then your photos on an external. not your catalog. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here.
Well, then,
But
like Becky's saying, thank
Becky
you. Becky said, thank you. According to your description, I am a pro.
yeah, you are. But when I say a pro, Becky, I'm talking about someone who is a pro level user.
Yep.
Whether you make your level, you use it or not, whether you're making your living that way.
That's really it. That's what you're saying. Like, that's it.
You're a pro level user.
Yep.
And if you're a pro level user, you're going to look at this and go, you know what? I'm not sure that this really is,
not right now.
Doug Evans says Lightroom CC. Oops, he went away.
He'll come back.
Doug says Lightroom CC Classic sounds like it's for pro level users, and Lightroom CC is for a Flickr type group. So it's kind of the best of both.
Best of both worlds kind of thing.
Hey, Holly's got a good one. Holly says it's like the difference between Photoshop and Photoshop Elements.
Yeah.
All right. And maybe that user too, that's a good, maybe I think what Holly is really talking about is not so much the feature set, but the user who would use Elements, because Elements users aren't going to use all of the pro stuff, right? You're not going to have an Elements user doing CMYK stuff. But I do want to move on to pricing, because that's important. But before we move on to pricing, I want to let everybody take a big breath as we take a short break. And then we will come right back. We're going to go into pricing.
Monty says pricing is totally insane with CC. That's his opinion.
That's Monty's opinion. We're going to talk about this in just a minute. Rob Sylvan's joining us here live by Skype. Stick around. We've got a lot to uncover and some fun stuff, so don't go away.
Hey everybody, Scott Kelby here. It's Friday night, Under the Lights football, and you're about to learn how to conquer this with a legend of football photography, Mr. Dave Black.
Scott, thanks for having me here at the game and for this class. There are a lot of problems shooting under the lights in football, and we're going to kind of give you those solutions for those and conquer those problems. The white balance, how to figure that out when you get under the lights. What lenses to use, length lenses, and what aperture to use. And positioning yourself on the field. Where's the best place to be strategically to get the most out of this game? Wait for that athlete to fill up that frame so that you get a shot that just knocks people's socks off.
It's an amazing night, taped live at a real high school football game, and it's exclusively here at KelbyOne.
Hi, my name's Tim Wallace. I work as a professional commercial photographer. There are lots of people out there that are really good photographers and they'd love to be able to make a living out of it, but they don't know how to make that transition. I put together a two-part business class, and this is the first part. And this is going to introduce you to things like how do you make that connection? How do you get your work across and build relationships with people in the right way? Also, the importance of specialisation, why we need to do that and what that actually means. We also talk about market levels, and this is really crucial. It's really important to understand the different levels within an industry, the different levels within the market, and how that changes the way you quote, the way you contact people and everything else. If you want to find out more, come and join the first part of my business series on KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Westcott, professional photo and lighting equipment.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Was that Meredith doing the voiceover there?
Meredith.
All right,
Yeah.
way to go, Mayor. Hey, guys, you just saw that class trailer, right, for Tim's class. I just want to mention something. Tim did an interview. Calibra's doing this interview series that looks at the photographer as a person.
Yeah, it's like the personal side.
Yeah, it's called the personal side, and Tim Wallace was one of the first ones to do it. And today a gentleman tweeted, and I want to read you his tweet. His name is Matthias Kilman. I don't think it's the same Matthias because it's spelled differently than Matthias who's watching here. But here's
wait, Matthias is here.
Oh, it's
Matthias
the same guy.
Kilman. Hello from Sweden.
Oh, here he is. All right, he says
so
hello.
Here.
Okay, it's so both Matthiases are here. Anyway, I'm going to read your quote here. How about that? He says, watching the interview on KelbyOne between Calibra Kelby and Tim Wallace is worth a year's subscription only. He says only for that. I'm sorry. Is worth a year's subscription only for that. He goes, you are Batman, Tim.
He is.
Yo, if you get a chance and you're a KelbyOne member, and if you're not a KelbyOne member, you can still take the free trial and watch it. It is a mind-blowing interview. And the one with Dave Black, you just guys saw Dave talking about his class. It's really, really something. Hey, also...
And we got another one coming out next week with Trey.
Oh yeah, with Trey Ratcliffe. That's going to be a wild class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will be surprised if Trey's not immediately arrested at the end of that.
don't spoil it.
Oh, sorry. All right. Anyway, so hey, let's get back to our topic. Our topic today, we're talking about Lightroom CC. We've kind of been talking about who it's for so far. Like it's for people who want to store their stuff in the cloud and they don't need all the features and stuff like that. So I do want to talk about. We haven't gotten into pricing. All right. So let's go into pricing next.
You're talking about pricing for Lightroom CC, the cloud-based version, not Lightroom Classic. Not
right. We're strictly going to talk about Lightroom CC because you need to buy storage, right? This is really important. You have to buy storage because if you don't get storage, you really can't use it, right? Now, Adobe gives you, what do they give, 20 gig to try it out, Rob?
If you have the Creative Cloud Photography plan, that's the $9.99 a month plan, you get 20 gigs, yeah.
So it's unusable. But if you just want to try it out, launch it.
That's what it could be like,
And when you launch it, it looks almost identical to Lightroom Web. So if you're familiar with Lightroom Web, it looks very, very close to Lightroom Web. The develop modules there, a lot of the library modules there, and that's pretty much it.
One thing I'll say to that, and I realize I'm verging on talking about Classic, but my understanding, and I've been looking to find this document somewhere, I can't, but I'm going to put it out there that I think it's true, is that if you're syncing with Lightroom Classic to the cloud, you're only doing smart previews, as you said, those don't count against that.
Nope, that is true. That is true, Rob. That is right. So, he's right. All right.
The 20 gigs is for your full res original.
Right, but Rob, 20 gig of full res images, it's like it's nothing.
Not defending,
but Adobe wanted people to be able to try it, right? So, but we're going to go past that, and we're going to go over to what your plan would be. Okay, so here's what your plan is. So, it is Lightroom cloud-based, right? CC. If you need Lightroom and Photoshop, you do get 1 terabyte of storage. By the way, you have to have storage. All right, you're not going to be able to do it. So it's $20 for Lightroom CC and Photoshop. Now, it does come with Lightroom Classic, but you're not really supposed to use both. You're supposed to use one or the other. You're supposed to either use Classic, which is the desktop one, or the one where your photos are stored in the cloud. It's not really designed to lose both. The reason why they give you both is they wanted to give people to be able to a chance to try it. So consider it a demo version.
Right.
I think it's a demo version. All right. Yeah. So that's what it comes with.
Like if you're going to commit to it, you got to commit to whatever storage plan you need.
So back to our pricing. Take a look on screen. So what you're paying is this. You're paying $10 a month for Lightroom and Photoshop. Then you're paying $10 a month for the terabyte of storage. So for this plan right here, Lightroom CC and Photoshop, it is $240 a year, $10 a month. Now, if you don't need Photoshop and you're like, you know what, Scott, I don't use Photoshop, I don't need Photoshop, then it's just $10 a month. It is literally just $10 a month, $10 for the storage, and you get Lightroom CC with it.
And you're not getting anything else.
You're not getting anything else. Lightroom CC and a terabyte of storage, and that's the end of it for $10. So it's $20 if you want Lightroom CC and Photoshop and a terabyte of storage. There you go. Are we still cool, Rob? Are we?
Yeah. Now here's one piece of this that I've also heard. I'm having a heck of a time finding it like officially written. But my understanding is in the first year, if you are one of those $9.99 per month Creative Cloud Photography Plan people, you can add a terabyte on for $14.99 for the first year.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
I haven't heard that one either.
It's really hard to find. I wouldn't say it if I wasn't 99% sure it was true.
Okay, but that's good. That's good to know. All right, so you will need to pay for your storage from Adobe. So understand, like, when you get CC, you'll need to pay for your storage from Adobe. And this is important. You cannot get your storage someplace else. So if you have Dropbox, if you have Amazon Prime, if you're paying Backblaze, if you're paying anybody else for storage, you cannot use that. It is required, the way this thing is set up, that you are going to Adobe's cloud. So you can't go, oh, well, no problem, I'll get CC for $10, then I'll store my stuff over here. Nope, it goes to Adobe, and that's important. All right, now, there is an option, and this is where it's gonna get confusing, but there is an option in Lightroom CC. There's actually a slider that says store my images all in the cloud. And by default, by the way, it is all going to the cloud. Like by default, it's like, nope, goes to the cloud. But you can say, I want some of my images to be stored locally. You can decide how many images you can have.
Decide how many, or is it just, I thought it was just a slider.
It's a slider, but I don't mean you can't choose a number, but you can say a percentage. I want some stored locally and some there. But can I tell you this? If you're going to store your photos locally, why are you getting the cloud-based version?
Yeah, at
because
that point,
it's
you're
too
managing
expensive.
your photos.
It's too expensive if they're not doing all the work for you, okay? So there we go. Anonymous just said, Lightroom CC and me?
Never.
All right. Jim is asking, so will Classic, the old version, continue to be updated and sold? Absolutely. It's a subscription, of course. But yes, it will be updated. They just did a major update 2 weeks ago. They will continue to be adding features. Look, Lightroom Classic is a huge program for Adobe. It is huge. There's literally millions of people using it. It's not going away anytime, not in our lifetime. I don't know what but anyway, it's going to be around for a long time, so don't worry about that. So Ron Sanders says, where should a complete beginner start at? Ron, let's look at the pricing and we'll see. All right? So here's what it is. So just know that if you store your images locally, you're going to lose most of the benefits of CC. So really, and I'm just being straight with you because we said we're going to be straight talk. My straight talk would be, if you're going to store your photos locally, don't use this plan.
Yeah, do Classic at that point.
You're doing Classic.
Like that's the point at which you're using a feature, or that feature set is not for you in Lightroom CC.
Nope.
You should go to Classic. That's
all right,
what
Rob, are you in agreement, or what do you think?
Yes. No, totally.
Yeah, if you're going to store them locally, you're a Classic customer. If you're going to go to the cloud, everything goes in the cloud. The only way that you're going to make this really work, just go, everything goes in the cloud. All right. Next, you will need to pay, of course, as I mentioned, Adobe a monthly storage fee. Here's what the fees are. The fees are, it's $10 per month per terabyte. Now, so if you have the plan, now I'm going to give you an example of my friend Larry, right? So my friend Larry, I had dinner with him a couple of weeks ago. Larry just came back from his honeymoon. This is just why we call him Larry Love. Anyway, so Larry went to his honeymoon. On his honeymoon trip, he took a two terabyte drive with him, a little terabyte, 2 terabyte. He used 1.4 terabytes of storage for that. He needs Lightroom and Photoshop. So he has the $10 a month plan, plus he has to pay $20 for the storage. So for his vacation, it's $360 a year to store just his vacation, just his 2-week vacation photos. And
edit and do the stuff with them.
Yeah, and have Photoshop and Lightroom. Yeah. So for him, it's what, $360.
Yep.
For him, not all the images he's already taken, not all the images that he will take. So what happens, now Larry is an aviation photographer. Larry shoots a lot. I'm shooting with Larry next week, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're out in California. So we're doing an air show thing.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, when he shoots that air show, he will go over, go over that. So his plan, and this is something that's important to understand. If you buy 2 terabytes and you go over it by 100 meg, you have to buy 3 terabytes. You have to go all the way. Yeah. So when Larry comes back from this trip, Larry will now be at 400 and what? 480?
Yeah.
He's at 360?
Yeah, 480.
Yeah. Larry, when he comes home, will be at $480 on his subscription. These are just the facts. I'm telling you like it is. I think
it will just step up $10 for every terabyte.
So every year, his storage needs will go up. Adobe will add it automatically, which is great. You don't have to worry about this. But at the same time, they will send you a bill automatically. Now, I just saw here Kathy Bateson. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for joining us all the way from Ireland. Kathy says, I've used 3 terabyte already this year. All right, so Kathy, for the photographer's bundle, you got $10, plus you would get, then you would need 3 terabytes. Is this right, Rob? $10 for the plan, plus $30 for the storage.
Yeah, $10 a terabyte.
So you're at $40 a month.
Yeah, you're 480.
You're at $480 a year. And so
and
this is the thing.
And growing. That's the point.
And this is what I would say. Kathy Bateson, You are not a CC candidate. You're a classic candidate. So guys,
your CC flame has been
there's no
extinguished.
reason to be upset with Adobe. Just go, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Because look, if you have 4 terabytes a month, 4 terabytes. So Kathy, you would need 4 to start off. If you took 3 already, I wouldn't get any less than 4. You're at 4 a month. So you're at $50 a month. All right, so you're at what, $600 a year? So now,
because like, where would you be?
okay, so for me, I did the math. I would be $1,200 a year. So $10 a month for the software,
I got news for you.
and $1,100 a month for my
you.
storage. I'm not upset. I'm not cranked
Not for
because
you.
I just go, oh, okay, that's not for me. So Monty says the options on my account are 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. Oh, it jumps all the way to 5. Is that right, Rob?
I haven't even looked to try.
Well, I don't think, Monty's looking. I don't think he's wrong. He says the options on my account are 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 5 terabytes, and 10 terabytes. So he's got the $1,000 a month plan, the $500 a month plan, the $240 a year. No, it's actually it's more than I'm saying here.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, so okay, Brian asked a really good question. What happens to my photos if I stop my subscription? Brian, here's what you do.
Yeah, there's a couple questions about that.
Okay, well, this is really interesting. We have to discuss this. What you would do, Brian, is you need to go and download all of your images first. There, you can say, store your images locally, and it will take all of your images from the cloud, and it will download them to your computer. Rob?
I also saw on their FAQs for CC a bit about that, and they're supposedly going to be releasing a tool to just download everything, like a one-time.
Right. But it's not going to download quick, is it? It's going to take. It's going to go at the speed of your internet. It could take 6 weeks. It could take 2 months. Right? Am I right?
Right. No, that's
because I'm telling you, I use Backblaze. It's like 6 weeks to upload your stuff or download your stuff.
So I mean, now, I guess that could make the case for storing a copy locally, as you're trying it out.
Right. So then, so what you have to do is you can't cancel your subscription. I would wait till all of my images are down, and then cancel my subscription. So you would have to.
Although I believe after you cancel, they keep everything in the cloud for a year, at least a year.
You can download it for a year?
Well, I don't know how long they'll let you download it if you're not paying.
So like resubscribe and then still get it.
They're not going to delete them immediately. So
okay, they don't delete them, but here's the question, Rob. Do I have to pay to get back on those? In other words, so if I drop off, I can come back and do it? Or do I have a year to download them after I've stopped? I kind of doubt that.
Yeah, you're on the frontier there with that question.
Okay, yeah. Rob says we're on the frontier with that question. Kathy Bateson says, I think it's cheaper than buying hard drives. So Kathy, I can talk to this a little bit. And Rob, you go on B&H or Amazon, you can find a Western Digital 4 terabyte drive and own it for $88.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty quick one. It's not bad.
You can buy 2 of those even if you want.
Yeah, you can buy 2 of them. It's $166, and you'd have 8 terabytes. And you could have redundancy. You can back them up to 2 different drives.
Yeah, like Melanie's saying, "Oh, OMG, I'm so old. All this makes me want to stay stuck in my old ways, like old people do."
No, guys, look, this is a very, very simple thing. It's just, it's this. If I decide to go this way, I am going to store all my images in the cloud. I'm going to use a limited feature set, and I'm going to pay a monthly fee for the storage. That's it. There's nothing to be confused about. It's really that simple. Now, when you start digging in, asking these questions like, well, what do I do? And that kind of stuff is that. Peter Treadway says, you know what the answer to all of this is, right? Just use Photoshop. No. All right. No. Photoshop is awesome. I love Photoshop.
So I did check it out. It's 10 terabytes where it maxes out.
It maxes out at 10 terabytes. I can't even really use it.
Yeah.
I would have to only use it for new stuff, and I wouldn't have my archives up there.
Yeah.
I have to think they'd have some way of taking your money if you really wanted to give it to them.
Yeah.
Can you ask them for 10 plus 2 or something?
Yeah.
10 plus 2.
All right.
You're
well, you know what?
not
These are good questions. These are good questions. All right. But you know what it is, Rob? I'm just not. I'm not a CC customer, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right.
At least not yet. This is all going to change. This is all evolving.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Lightroom CC 1.0. It doesn't have all the features. It doesn't. And you know what, Rob? Let me ask you a question. Just you and me talking. No one's listening. It's just a couple of guys on the phone.
Yep.
This is just, and I swear I promise you I have no inside information. This is just me and you talking. I cannot imagine they're going to keep that $10 a month thing. Because, here's why. I back up my stuff to Backblaze. Backblaze is unlimited storage for $5 a month. Unlimited. I can put 12 terabytes up there. I have 12 terabytes up there. It's $5 a month. Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm on Amazon.
Rob, how many people have, what
I'm on
did you say?
Amazon. Yeah.
Amazon?
Yeah. All my photos are free with my Prime membership.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, you can get unlimited storage like you're talking about for $100 a year.
Yeah. So it's $100
And then
a
you
year.
got Google Photos, about the same. You
Right.
know.
So for about $100 a year, you can have unlimited storage other places. So this is no, and so you can't say, Scott says they're going to lower it to 5. I have no idea if they would, but if I was Adobe, I'd lower it to 5.
Yeah.
That's just me. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to stay at 10?
Well, that's why I think, I think they're getting a lot of feedback right now, real world feedback. And yeah, I think it's going to change. I think it's going to evolve. I think it has to. I mean, so I think about like, who is this ideally for? I think about like my niece in college, she's got her phone, she's traveling, she wants to use it. And
That's exactly probably.
That's
she
it.
doesn't have that kind of cash, she's a college student.
But,
Yeah.
but that's the bad thing, Rob. That's who it's for.
Yeah.
It is a program made for your niece in college.
Right. I mean, so maybe, that's what a Christmas present, you get them a year.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy it for her. Because
Exactly.
she's not going to pay those fees. And I know your niece, she's going to need 8 terabytes. You better be sending her some checks. All right, so read Tom's here. Tom's got a good comment.
So Tom's, does Adobe have a backup of your CC images, or do they have additional offsite backup?
No.
So basically, what's Adobe's plan for backing up your images?
Your images are backed up in a server, so that they do have your backup. That is your backup. So when you put your images in the cloud, they are all in the cloud. They are all at Adobe, and Adobe's got you covered.
So does Adobe have redundancy of that?
I'm sure they have
We assume
redundancy.
So. We assume so.
We all assume.
Oh, hold on.
so.
Rob's going to
I
talk
would
to that.
think, right?
I was-
Sorry,
well,
my earpiece
they
chopped
don't-
out here.
They don't document, what they're, at least that I've seen, what they do. But the assumption is that, yes, they're.
The assumption. I would have that same assumption. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, we sure hope so. No,
Sure
they
hope
do.
so.
Everybody does.
That'd be bad businesses.
Dude, if their
No, I
server
can't-
went down and you lost, if one photographer loses their photos in Adobe's
that's what I'm
cloud,
saying. No
it's
way.
game over.
Yeah.
That will be it. You will see people run out of there like, something that runs fast. Ron Sanders asked Scott, what was the name of the $5 unlimited plan you used for storage? It's called Backblaze.
Backblaze,
And by the way, I'm not sponsored by Backblaze. I don't get any money from Backblaze. I should, because I talk about them on every single seminar I do, because I talk about how important it is to have a backup in the cloud. Ask anybody who's lived through the hurricanes that have hit all over the country and in Puerto Rico and every place else. You can have as many drives as you want. If they get burned or going up in a flood, it doesn't matter. Your stuff is gone. Having that cloud backup is absolutely critical. Guys, this is the visual history of your lives. It's not just client work. It's not just your favorite photos. It's not photos that mean a lot to you. Our family photos need to be backed up someplace. This
you
is our
gotta back up
legacy.
your photos.
You gotta back up your stuff in a cloud. So that's what I pay. I pay
Something you
$5
should
a
do.
month to Backblaze. And so Eddie the Teddy says, I'd rather use Lightroom
what I'd
Classic, my Drobo for local storage, and Backblaze than Lightroom CC. Yeah, Eddie, that's the thing. And I just really want to make that clear, is like, I think people get so upset. Like, they're like, I saw Deb said, Adobe jumped the shark on this one.
Yep.
No,
Saw that.
there is a market for this. It's just not us, Deb. Because I know Deb. I know
And I
Deb
think
personally,
that's
and
what-
she's
when you
like a
think about it,
serious photographer.
People that are watching the grid,
Yeah.
people that are using Lightroom Classic,
Right.
I would say most of the people that are watching and most of the people, this is not for them.
Right.
This
It really
not for
isn't.
them.
Because look at this. Look on screen here. 4 terabytes, and you're at $480.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where you are.
That's for 4 terabytes. 4 terabytes is nothing. I mean, if you're a serious pro photographer. Now, guys, if you're out there and you own a Sony, anything, if you're holding a Sony, 4 terabytes won't last you till breakfast. Right? That's if you have a Sony, if you bought a Nikon D850, if you've got a Canon, a SR, any megapixels are only going up.
Yep.
I'm looking at raw photos that are 50 megabytes a piece
yeah.
for one raw photo. So guys, my earpiece just keeps jumping out. There we go. So it just, the numbers just start to fall apart when you have a lot of storage. That's why I'm telling you, if you shoot JPEG, then all of a sudden you're like, well, gosh, you can put a lot of photos in a terabyte if you shoot JPEG, because you're not talking about 50 megs. You might be talking about 1 or 2 meg. Yep. It's a big difference.
Yeah,
all
definitely.
right.
Well, yeah, we
let me
recap. Get through these.
Yeah, let me recap here for you. So here's what they do. For your monthly fee, they store all your photos for you, and that's important. All your photos and your catalog are backed up, and all of your images are accessible on all your devices. Now, I'm going to ask the same question that I have heard again and again at my seminars. How is this different than Apple Photos? Because here's what Apple Photos does. They store all your photos for you. Your photos are backed up and your catalog's backed up, and your images are all accessible on all of your drives. There are some things missing, and there's some things that, so there are differences. Anytime you switch programs, there are differences. Like, there is no adjustment brushes in Apple Photos, but they just did a major update to Apple Photos. And I don't know if you saw Jeremy Coward. Jeremy Coward has been tweeting how much better he thinks Apple Photos is than Lightroom, because he's been a long-time Lightroom user, and he started writing.
He was just talking about Lightroom.
Yeah, he was just talking about Lightroom Classic.
Yes.
And he was going, basically, he says, have you guys seen the keynote? Have you watched this? He even had to write a tweet that says, no, I'm not being paid by Apple to say this. I kid you not, Rob, that's what he did. A whole series of tweets. This is this week. Here's what Apple Photos does have that Lightroom doesn't have.
Lightroom CC.
Lightroom CC doesn't have. It has curves and it has levels. It supports every plugin you can imagine. It supports all the different plugins and Photoshop. Did you know that if you take an image from Photos over to Photoshop, edit it there, it brings it back just like, it round trips it. All of your images are organized in a map. There is no map on Lightroom CC, but in Apple Photos there is. The changes that you make in Photoshop, as I mentioned, are synced back. You can add text and graphics and shapes and all that inside of Apple Photos. Apple Photos makes photo books. So they make photo books, and they make calendars, and they make greeting cards. And this is a new one. It actually ties directly into even MPix, dude. MPix is right there, right? And you can share your images directly from it to everywhere. You can go to Twitter, you can go to Facebook, you can go to anything that your OS can send to, it will send to, right? And their storage is half price of Adobe's. 2 terabytes for $10. So people
that's where your theory of $5.
Yeah, and people
really
are saying this. People are asking me this question all day long at my seminar. Why would I do this if I have Apple Photos? Well, there is a
gotcha.
There's a gotcha. There's 2 gotchas. Gotcha number 1, you can't get more than 2 terabytes from Apple Photos. So it is made for the JPEG shooter. The JPEG shooter would probably be perfectly fine here, right? That's it. Alrighty. Then second one. There's no Android version, and there's no Windows version. So if you're on Windows, so Rob, you will not be able to use Apple Photos.
That
now, are you an iPhone guy or an Android guy?
Yeah, iPhone.
iPhone? Okay, so you can use it on your, well, no, you really can't. You can just use the Apple Photos app. So
I've got both. I've got my MacBook.
Oh, you do have a MacBook Pro? Okay.
Yeah, I've got both.
All right, so you can use them both. All right, so, all right.
You know, up here, Justin's making a comment where he's saying, his opinion, Apple screwed up the naming of all this stuff. Lightroom CC should have been named something different. Lightroom Classic should have been the only software named Lightroom.
Yes.
Even when talking to Adobe, it got confusing fast.
Justin?
And that's where, like, we've been talking about this, and you notice how we'll have to say, we're talking about CC, we're talking about Classic, we're talking about this, like this one, that one. Yeah.
Rob,
so
tell me if this isn't right. It sounds like the person at Adobe that was in charge of all this naming is also the person that named MacFun Skylum. Skyloom, right? Same person? Has to be.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the worst name of the year, Skyloom. It's like, it sounds like bad guy in a movie, right?
like
you see, like a James Bond movie, and it's like, Skyloom's trying to take over this. It's the Skyloom. Anyway, The second worst name of the year is calling Lightroom. I agree with exactly what that guy
exactly.
said. Exactly what he said.
That's the confusion.
Lightroom should be Lightroom, and the CC thing should be called something else.
Yep.
Just something else. But
there's no way. There's just no way you can defend it.
And then Johan saying it looks like Adobe thinks they're not making enough money and they're trying to sell a bad program to rip people off. Or am I seeing it wrong?
Johan,
No.
it is not a bad program. It's just not for you.
It's not for you.
And so that's the thing. And that's why I want to be straight with people. So look on my screen here. But what if, okay, here we go. Let's play this what if game.
Here we go.
What if you think CC costs too much? Then it's not for you. What if you want to keep all your images locally? Then it's not for you. What if you need to use plugins? Then it's not for you. What if you need all the features you're used to in Lightroom Desktop? Then it's not for you. If you can say that it's just not for you, and I think most of the people that are watching this show really, they need to be on Lightroom Classic.
Yep.
Because we have, I would say that most of the people that watch this show, even if they're not working pros or pro-level users, or are on the verge of becoming pro-level users, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of what we do at KelbyOne, is try to move people up that ladder. So, you know, if you're not one now, you will be next year. So,
and there has been some comments in here about other alternatives. Like, that's another thing is, you know, Lightroom CC is not for you, but other people are saying, well, what about, you know,
Capture One
has a new product coming out. Capture One, you know, I saw a comment up there about Capture One. So they're all, it's just basically Lightroom CC is not for you. Lightroom Classic's where you need to be.
Yeah.
Or you need to be somewhere else.
Yeah. Guys, Lightroom Classic, they didn't change anything except for the name. And by the way, if you go to Lightroom, they did make it a lot faster, and they added a really great masking feature that works actually brilliantly well. But if you want to learn how to change the name of Lightroom, I did a tutorial on it. Go to lightroomkillertips.com.
You could call it what it should be called.
And I show you how on lightroomkillertips.com to change the name to Lightroom Pro. I even give you the graphic you need to match exactly, and yours will be, you'll never see the word Lightroom Classic. It will always say Lightroom Pro, and you'll be a happy camper. So don't even sweat that. You're covered if your problem's the name. But just understand is that if you're a pro level user, you're shooting a DSLR, you're shooting a lot of shots, it's not for you. So
can I say one other thing on that?
Oh, please, Rob.
Because I feel like part of, like, for this audience, like for us, is you can still use Lightroom Classic with what was Lightroom Mobile, now Lightroom CC, the same way that we did before too. So that hasn't gone away.
Nothing has changed for us.
Right.
But the name.
Right.
It's still $10 a month.
And so for the folks who are just going Lightroom CC only, if that works for them, they get something new. We don't lose anything. I guess that's my point.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, look at Mike Lichty's comment.
Yep.
He says,
he said basically you're correct. I'm sure it has a purpose, but not for most. Heck, the new Panasonic G9 gives you special 80 megabyte image for one click on the Panasonic G9. So, wow.
All right. So that's basically it, guys. Is just what we wanted to do today was say, look, there's this new program that people are confused about. It may not be for the audience that watches this show, but at least now you kind of know what its strong points are, because you see, like, early on when you start hearing about the storage and the this, I don't have to worry about that. You're like, hey, this is good.
Yeah, this sounds good. I don't have to worry about that stuff.
Right.
And then
you saw Rose saying, hey, now this sounds better. Then all of a sudden you hit this wall where you go, oh, okay, I'm not that user. Right? Because now, guys, can I tell you something? Tell me if you don't agree with this, Rob. A year from now, this will be a different conversation.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Two reasons.
Just like Rob was saying, this is it's constantly evolving.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving. Number one, a year from now, it's going to have a whole bunch more features, right? We know that. Adobe's already promised that. They said it's coming. Number two, I'm betting it's going to be cheaper. I could be completely wrong. If it's a huge hit, it will not. The price will not go down. But if it doesn't, like, really rock, because I think that pricing wise, there's some room to move.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree with what your determination. It's half. It could be half.
It could be half. That's
because
just
when
me
you look around,
thinking, right?
And you look at the target audience that we were talking about, like your the person in college that you were talking about,
Yeah,
you know,
my niece,
stuff like, yeah, your niece.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at that, half the price maybe now. You know, it's a stretch for that audience.
Stan says, it's a relief to know that Lightroom Classic will remain all that I need, and I don't have to have Lightroom CC. All of the reasons that you outlined as being not for you apply to Stan.
There you go.
So totally get it.
You know what to use now.
So anyway, that's kind of the idea. I want to see if there's any other things.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments
Loopy
here.
Bridget says, all these storage fees, monthly payments, I don't want that. I just want to keep things the way I've been using it. Loopy, I got good news for you. You don't have to do any of this stuff. If you're a Lightroom Classic user and you're happy where you are, clap your hands.
So I got a good question there from Dana. Dana's asking if it's extra if I have the full Adobe suite already. So I'm paying $50 a month for the Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. Do I pay more for Lightroom CC?
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah. So
Like the way I did that, Rob.
Rob.
Yeah.
Hard question. Go
So-
to Rob.
For that $49.99 a month plan, it does include CC, and if you needed additional, like the terabyte storage, you would have to. That would be an additional cost.
But you do
So-
get 100 gig for free,
Get
which
100
is
gig is my
okay
understanding.
for JPEG shooters.
Right.
Yes.
And
Useless for our audience.
if you're one of the people who has like the team or the enterprise edition, then right now Lightroom CC isn't functioning in that world. So
Right, and that's exactly what Eric and I
That's what I
have.
was
We have it
saying
for
is-
teams, so
is,
we're locked out.
Mine, I was good for 7 days,
Right.
but then
Get it
my
7 days.
work laptop got shut off.
So
Right,
that's
so-
supposedly coming too, but
Yep.
it's not there yet.
It's coming too. Dan says, can you do culling in Lightroom CC? If so, is it faster than Classic? I know I should be using Photo Mechanic for that. Okay, Dan, we're going to break this down real quick. Yes, you can do sorting. There's albums. There's well, basically, there's collections and collection sets. Oh, can you bring that back? I need that. I'm sorry. There are collections and collection sets. They just called something different. Is it faster than Classic? I would say it's very fast, but I don't know if it's faster than the new Classic. So when Dan, when you wrote, I should be using Photo Mechanic for that, you got to go download the new Classic. Make sure your catalog is on your computer. Classic is fast now. Very, very fast. And Dan, I did the same thing. I had Photo Mechanic for my initial round, and then I imported it into Lightroom. I don't do that anymore. It's very, very, very fast. We're gonna put this to Rob. Colin Richardson asked Rob, what if I want CC and Classic? Rob, what says you?
All right, so that's me. That's what I'm guessing. Scott, you and Eric, you probably use it too. If you're using Lightroom mobile on your phone and you have your Lightroom Classic catalog, that's what I. Right, and
But
so
that's
I
not
love
what Colin's asking.
Okay, so you
Colin's
want to use the
asking-
desktop? You want to use?
They want to use the desktop CC and the Classic.
All right.
He cleared his
It's not
throat. He took a breath.
recommended. Yeah, it's
I
not
would
recommended.
not recommend it.
It's not recommended because, at least not on the same machine, obviously. Because so here's the part to keep in mind. So everything you put into CC goes up to the cloud, right? If you have Classic catalog synced, everything that hits the cloud gets downloaded into Classic, right? And so if you're you can maybe kind of make it work. It's just there's not a clear, easy way to make those two work. And from what I've been told, it's not recommended to use them both, the desktop versions, both with both of them syncing. All right.
Right.
So, for example, something like keywords. All right. So, new to Lightroom CC, you can add keywords in the mobile app and in the desktop app, but keywords don't sync back to Classic.
Boo.
Keywords in Classic don't sync to CC.
Boo.
So I'm afraid there's some places there.
Yeah, don't
where
do it.
maybe-
Yeah,
just-
Rob,
it's not
you're
advisable.
either a CC customer or you're a Classic customer. If you do both, you're going to have inconsistencies that are going to drive you nuts. There you go. Hey, we're no more questions there, Jen. Don't put anything else up. We got to wrap this bad boy up. Willie wants to know, what are the noodles on our desk? Okay, so can you grab those?
That's our lunch.
This is our lunch here. This is lo mein. Looks like chicken lo mein. Oh, shrimp lo mein. So we have all these props. So when we were designing the set, Calibra was like, if it's really going to look like an underground hacker set, you have to have fake food. So we have the source that sells us fake food, and this is shrimp. Looks like shrimp lo mein.
Shrimp lo mein.
And so if you look on the set, there's all kinds of crazy stuff back here. And there's stuff that people have sent us too. When people send us stuff, we add it to the set. But there's a packet of sauce here. The other day, someone came in and they're like, "Oh no, someone spilled sauce, like duck sauce." I'm like, "No, it's a prop." So that the props move around. That's why it's over there.
Speaking of lo mein, I saw the coolest 7-year-old in the world was in the chat just earlier.
I know,
saw my
Christy
daughter,
Kuna.
or it was actually my daughter chatting. Carrie's in there. Yeah. Hey, Carrie. I'll be home soon.
Oh, that was okay. That was Carrie on Christy's account. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you
go. Hey, that's very nice, Rob. You've left this conversation, haven't you now?
And Becky said, Rob is awesome, always helpful at Photoshop World.
Yeah, he is. All right, just a couple of them. Let's see.
And then Paul's talking about, that's where we're saying, have you followed the rise of Luminar for Luminar? That they're having a digital asset management in 2018.
He says they're going to add a digital asset management, and I'm gonna be having dinner with them this coming week, and so I hope to see. I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen the little video everybody else has seen. It'll be interesting to see what they've done. So,
definitely.
But you know what? There's a lot of people entering this market of sorting your images as well.
Yep.
So, but right now, you know what it is? At the end of the day, it's hard to beat the $10 a month because you're always going to need Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
If you go, you know what? Hey, by the way, one of your interesting fact, Rob, tell me if I'm wrong here. If you just want Photoshop, it's $20 a month.
Right.
If you want just Photoshop, it's 20. But if you want Photoshop and Lightroom, then it's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's easy.
Plus all the others. Yeah.
So you're already going to be paying for Photoshop and Light. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, why are you going to go buy something else? Okay. Also, there is a very rich community built around Lightroom.
Right. I mean,
like there's Lightroom
longevity.
magazine, of course. You know, we have over 50 classes on Lightroom. We've got a community that talks daily about Lightroom. We've got Lightroom killer tips and stuff. When you go to you go to Capture One and stuff. Not only is Capture One like expensive.
Capture One is expensive.
$300?
$300.
$300. But there's the community that
and then you're going back to that upgrade thing where you pay $300. It's like Photoshop used to be, where you pay the money and then you pay for the upgrade price.
People forget the upgrade price for Photoshop was $179. Is that
like
right, Rob? Wasn't it $179?
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so you paid that every 18 months. You basically kind of had to. So you paid what you paid for Photoshop, which was $800.
$600, $800.
Yeah, $600, $800, depending on when you bought it.
Yeah.
And then you paid another $189 every 18 months. People forget about that. So Jim asks, are both Classic and CC web-based? Neither one of them is web-based, Jim. They're both regular applications, just like Photoshop, right on your computer. CC stores your photos in the cloud. Classic stores your photos locally on a hard drive. Speaking of hard drives, just saw a comment about that. It went away. I can't find it. So Ali asks, it's not just about storage. What about cross-device editing workflows? It seems to be easy and seamless with Lightroom CC. Yep. It's possible with Lightroom Classic, but it's been limited. It's not limited. Ali, it is not limited the least bit in Lightroom Mobile. In fact, there's probably more features in Lightroom Mobile than there are in Lightroom CC. If you sync a collection,
well, that's the only extra thing. You gotta set up that collection that you're syncing.
All you do is click a button.
Yeah, I know,
it's one
but
button.
that's what I'm saying. Is that's the only.
Yeah, no, but what he's saying is, I don't agree with his comment. It's not clunky. It is not any of that stuff.
It's not clunky. It just takes.
It sounds like you haven't used it in a while.
Yeah.
It is a seamless, quick, easy. You make changes on your phone. You make changes on your tablet. They go right back to Lightroom Classic. It is not clunky. It's awesome. It's the best it's ever been right now. If you haven't used it in a while, you need to go back and check it out, because you may be thinking about what it was like a year ago.
Yeah, and you have to use
not what it's like today.
It's called Lightroom CC now, the app, right? It's not Lightroom Mobile.
Right, it's called, they don't call it Lightroom Mobile, they called it Lightroom CC because that would make it easier.
That would make it easier for all the confusion.
All right, Tyrone says they're excluding features that we use in our normal photography lives. I don't think it's an improvement. Tyrone, Adobe never said it was an improvement. They just said it's for a different customer.
That's where it's not for you.
It's not for you. And so, okay, so Johan says, explain again why Lightroom CC is not for a pro. Which he says, and by no way I am. You're maybe not a working pro, Johan, but you're shooting pro level stuff. Okay.
Yep. You're using pro level features.
It's not for a pro because you have to pay so much and it doesn't have as many features. I'm going to go back and show you Really? We're going to do this again because, all right, Johan, look on screen. This is who it is for. You don't want to worry about storage. That's good. You don't want to worry about backup. That's good. All of your images are accessible on all your devices. That's
Sounds
good. You don't shoot a lot, Johan. Ooh, I think you shoot a lot. And I think you probably shoot in RAW.
Yep, probably not.
Do you shoot in RAW? Then you're out. Okay? Or you're rich, one or the other. You got a pretty decent interconnection? I think you got a good connection. Do you have data limits or caps? I don't know. Yeah. You're okay with having Adobe have your images? That's cool, right? And do you use any plugins? If you use plugins and you love your plugins, you don't get to use any of them. Probably. That takes you out. All right? And you don't need the features. Here's where it comes down to. Right now, I'm not talking about the future because they don't have a crystal ball. But right now, here's what you would not have anymore. All of this. No panoramas, no HDR, no full screen, no face tagging, no map module, no custom sorting of your thumbnails, no auto sync, no virtual copies, no doing really anything with video whatsoever, no file renaming, no 2-monitor support, no syncing metadata, no ability to open an object as a smart object in Photoshop.
So if you're going to miss this stuff,
you're missing any of this stuff
right now.
No having multiple catalogs. There's no highlight clipping warnings. There's a lot of stuff that's not there. So you get Sensei searching in its place. So that's why. That is exactly why. So Tim says if this goes big at Lightroom Classic and Lightroom Classic gets canned, Luminar might be working. Tim, you got years and years. If this was a huge hit, Tim, let's just say that it's a crazy hit. Lightroom Classic will be around for years and years and years. There are millions, hear me, millions of people. Tim says, please keep Lightroom Classic forever. Lenworth says, classic all the way. Artist One says, Johan, Capture One sounds like something on my short list. Don't do it. Artist first, don't do it.
I mean, you can try it, but
it's $300 and it's hard as crap. It's hard. We got a class coming out on it. You know why? Because it's hard as crap. All right. So guys, we could go on and on and on with this, but I did want to recap that stuff just now for Johan because you ask yourself those questions. I'm going to go all the way back to the end. Here's the very last thing. All right. This is the last thing to remember. If you think it costs too much, so you need 3 terabytes, 4 terabytes, 5 terabytes, you don't want to pay $600 a year, it's not for you. You want to keep your images locally. You don't want to store them all in the cloud. You want to keep them on your own hard drive or whatever. Then it's not for you. You want to use plugins. It's not for you. You need to use all the features in Lightroom that you're used to. You want to be able to do printing and layouts and all that kind of stuff. Then it's not for you. And it's okay if it's not for you.
There's a product for you.
There's a product for you. It's called Lightroom Classic, and we're going to continue on like we always have. The price hasn't changed. It's still available. At my seminar in San Diego, somebody asked, will I be showing the other one? What would I show you? It's got the develop module. What do you want to show you what's missing? I mean, look, it's the develop module. It's the same sliders in the same order. They do the same thing, but every once in a while, something's missing.
or they name it something different.
Oh, yeah. Or they're going to change the name of it.
Right.
All right. So Rose Kieran says, great summary, Scott. I'm definitely Lightroom Classic. There you go.
There you go. That's all we wanted to do. Just make sure people know.
Oh, this is funny. Artist First says, if you have a class, then now I want it. Okay, I'm not just considering it. I want it. All righty. And Eddie the Teddy says, Jim says, I agree with the branding screw up by Adobe. And Eddie the Teddy says, same guy who named the Wii U. Confirmed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rob Sylvan, you have been so awesome today. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Rob, you are a true friend of the crown.
Dilly, dilly.
Dilly, dilly. All right. Hey, we have some giveaways. Should we do them?
Yeah. We didn't even talk about that.
Right. We're giving away some awesome stuff. Giving away a Platypod Pro.
And a Platypod Ultra.
You know what's great about these? They work like tripods, but no one ever stops you from using them. Mm-hmm. They think that that's not a tripod. We're giving away the Ultra, which is the smaller one. Don't plug in.
cable
Don't
release.
plug in a cable release because then they think it's a
That's the
tripod.
problem.
But use it like a tripod. It attaches to all kinds of crazy stuff. We're giving away both of these today, courtesy of our awesome friends at Platypod.
These are awesome.
Hey, can I tell you something? I got a thing. So Cheeky Nando sent me a note. He turned me on to a ball head that looks just like this.
Just like the Open.
Just like the Open. And it's $12.95. 12. So Cheeky Nando's in the
Amazon?
I think it was on Amazon. He sent me a
was.
link to Amazon. See, hold on. I have to look at my cheeky mail. But it's $12. And now, of course, it's made in China. But can I ask you a question? What isn't made in China? All right, hang on one second.
Let's
Find me something that's, let me find it real quick. Don't show my screen until I find it here. We're looking at Nando. Well, I can't write Nando. It'd have to be
Well, I'll tell you that
Fernando.
this ball head right here is made in China. It's got the sticker right on
let's
it.
look at Nando. I don't want them to.
So,
All right, Nando.
the Open ball head's made in
It's
China
not
too.
That one, the Open ball head. He's the Open guy. All right, hold on.
But
Don't
those things are great.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Here it is.
There it
It's
is.
from Newer. All right, there it is from Newer, and it is $12.99, and it's part of Prime.
Looks
Wow.
very, very
It looks
similar.
very, very similar, and I'm sure that it's not quite as well. Well, I can't say
I'll
that
tell
because
you
it
what,
might.
it has a level here and a level here, and this one only has a
Oh, it's
top
got two
level.
levels.
That one's got a side and a top.
It's got a quick release plate.
$12.99.
Let me put it this way: if you buy it for $12.99 and it's a piece of crap, it's only $12.99. Who cares? So
I'll try it.
I'll try it.
That's over a month's worth of storage.
Yeah.
That's another terabyte.
That's another terabyte right there. Anyway, so just throwing this out there to Cheeky Nando because he's
So
a
you get
cheeky man.
You get this, and then you get the ball head $12.99.
Yeah, what if you won this and then you get the ball head for
You're
$12.99?
set.
Now Peter
13
Treadway
bucks.
says he loves Newer, and Peter Treadway knows his stuff. He's
You
one of
know,
the
I'm
he's
looking
one of
right
Team
now.
Epic.
You see our mic stand? What is that brand? Newer.
These mic stands are from Newer?
That's what it says right here. Neewer.
Oh
Newer.
my
Right here. See?
Oh my gosh, you're
Isn't that
right.
Crazy?
We probably
There you
bought
go.
these nightstands for $4.
It's probably on Amazon.
Deb says, thanks for the insight and clarification, Scott, Eric, and Rob. All right, guys, we got to go. We're so far over today, but this was a really important topic, I think. We really had to unpack this. So many people are confused about it. I hope we helped clear the fog, and I hope we helped make it clear. I see a lot of people today that realize, okay, even Johan says, okay, Scott, it's clear now. I will forever use Lightroom Classic. I do want to say a few
There you
things. Just remember that Lightroom Classic is version 1.0.
No,
You wouldn't
Lightroom
want to
CC.
use Lightroom 1.0 today.
Lightroom
So give-
CC
yeah,
is 1.0.
Right. A year from now,
You keep on making the name and just gets to you.
I know the name gets you to you. A year from now, so here's my holiday wish list, Rob. Ready?
Ready.
I want a different name. I want Adobe to just go, you know what? This name sucks. I'm going to give it a different name. They could name it anything. They could name it Adobe Toe, and I would be happier than Adobe CC.
Adobe
right?
Photos.
Adobe Big Toe. I'm fine with it. I don't even
Well,
care.
you know,
Big toe.
when they demoed it at Adobe Max last year,
Yeah?
it was codenamed Nimbus.
Nimbus. I like the name Nimbus.
There you go.
Dude, I like the name
That
Nimbus.
would've
And I
helped.
told Adobe, how
Adobe
much.
Nimbus.
I go, just call it either Lightroom Nimbus or just Nimbus. And you know what Adobe said? We don't ever listen to you, Scott. We only listen to Rob Sylvan.
Definitely
Rob did not tell us to do that.
And Rob did not tell us that. All right. So here's what my wish list is. The price goes down to $5 or less. You know what I'd like to see? Just a package price, like $100 a year, unlimited or whatever, something. Make it, reasonable. But
Or maybe make that unlimited or limited, like up to a certain point.
Oh yeah, like give me 5 terabytes for
Yeah.
$99 or something,
Like,
Well, anyway.
bump it up.
Number 2, I really want a new name. I want both of them to name. You know what? If Adobe wanted to get love on a crazy level, I would love for them to just come out and go, you know what, guys? We made a mistake. These names suck. Nobody likes them. Not a single person in the world likes them. Let's give them good names. Let's call Lightroom on the desktop either Lightroom Desktop or Lightroom Professional.
That's it.
Either
Those
one's
are the
fine.
two names make sense.
And call Lightroom CC freaking something else. I don't care. I vote for it be calling Lightroom Sylvan is fine with me. I would have
Lightroom
no
Sylvan.
problem with Lightroom Sylvan.
I don't know if Rob wants that. But.
Rob might not want. Well, he get a licensing fee. He gets 16 cents for every one.
Okay, well then he's in. He's in.
Artist First says, let's have a naming contest. Let me tell you what. I guarantee you, just the people that watch the grid, we could come up with names that would get voted so much higher than calling the new thing Lightroom CC. So I want a lower price. I want a different name. I want more features, and I want them to change the name of Lightroom Classic to anything. Pro, desktop,
Those
2018, Sylvan, any one of those is fine with me.
Any one of
if they
those is
just-
fine, yes.
Yeah, if they just give the new thing a new name, we could just go back to the way it was and pretend this never happened.
Or why don't we just call the old one just Lightroom?
Yeah, exactly.
The old one's just called Lightroom. It gets no CC. Because did you notice that the full name now, the full name is Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic CC.
Yep.
Dude, I would have loved to have been in the room at Adobe when they're all sitting around a table. Everybody goes, "That sound good? That's good, yeah."
And right above it, we're gonna
everybody
have
signs off on that.
Adobe Lightroom CC.
Is that it, right? That's good. Click, click, click. Eddie the Teddy says, "I'm not confused anymore. Thank you, Scott, Eric, and Mr. Skype." He says, "This Teddy is so zen now." All right, we're very glad to hear that. Mr. Kuna, thank you very much for being on.
We gotta go.
Rob, you're awesome. Jen, thank you for rocking the comments over there. Juan, some of your best jib work today. Very stunning. I had a tear earlier. Meredith in the booth, and to all of our sponsors and all of our friends at home, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next week right here on the grid.
Thanks,
You're
everybody.
true friends of the crown.
Dilly,
Dilly, dilly.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Tamron, professional photographic lenses.